we need to talk about something problematic. You see, anime's popularity has grown exponentially over the last couple years, and because of that has created a huge amount of income for the genre.
Safukos, isn't that a good thing?
Well, it is, until you start seeing the oversaturation that it brings to the genre as people start wanting to invest in the anime market. And that's where we get to the point of this video, that being the problem in modern isekai. But in order to talk about modern isekai, we need to first dive into the past. In the early 2010s, isekai had its first real view of the spotlight with anime such as Sword Art Online, No Game No Life, and a few others. These anime had ideas that people caught on to as it added a new aspect to the watching experience, which was making people wish that they could be given a gateway to another world. You see, before this, most anime gave the feeling of wanting to be involved, but with isekai, it allowed people to believe that there was a real possibility of that happening, if you were to fall for it. Anyways, after the success of these initial isekai anime, people started to see a pattern to success that would guarantee them a big paycheck. And with this newfound pattern comes the sad excuses for anime that we see in the modern isekai subgenre today. Not to say that there's not good isekai as of recently, since the reason isekai is so popular is because of really good anime that are the frontrunners of the subgenre. But as we keep going in this video, you'll see exactly what I'm trying to get at. And with that, we get back to the modern isekai problem. In most isekai nowadays, you'll find your average boring looking loser MC that in one way or another gets transported to another world, whether that be dying, summoned, pulled into a video game, or getting hit in the head by a goose. And yes, that is real, by the way. Anyways, this MC is then given immense power that they must use to take down a greater evil and save the human race. They will also be accompanied by a ditzy colorful haired heroine paired with some large bazongas, along with some other side characters that could include a brawly best friend, an annoying tsundere, a pet of some sort, and a lolly. This MC will also have a rival that is obviously weaker than them, but no one else notices it besides the MC's main friend group. Also, in most isekai situations, the MC will be poorly treated upon arrival, and then later depended on for their seemingly unknown talents. With this description, I bet everyone watching this video had a different anime in mind. And you know why? It's because these authors keep using the same pattern and somehow it keeps working. Like, the amount of isekai anime has steadily increased since the early 2010s. For instance, 18 out of the 51 new anime coming out in the winter 2025 anime season are of the isekai genre. And out of these 18, I guarantee that only a select few are actually worth watching. Anyways, the increase in adaptations for these isekai stories stem from a few things. First is obviously the fact that isekai has become super popular, but there's another reason why there's such an abundance of isekai anime, that being that they're easy to make and succeed with. With the pattern I mentioned before, authors can push out near identical stories with minor changes and continue to rack up viewership by piggybacking off of good isekai's reputation. On a side note, I have a bone to pick with certain isekai authors as they adapt their novels just to advertise the source material, which in turn means no further anime adaptation of the story, leaving anime-only watchers with unfinished stories. Showing once again that these copycat authors are only in the market to make a quick buck and not to provide a quality story for their audience. This leads to my first glaring issue when it comes to the isekai problem, which is respecting the setting. You see, too many isekai fail to create believable worlds. MCs of these animes often act like they don't belong, ignoring basic rules of their universe. They waltz in with their overpowered skills and effortlessly dominate. Struggles are rare and even the world attempts to adapt, and it does so incompetently. By failing to respect their setting, modern isekai betrays its own potential. As believable worlds isn't necessarily about being deeply developed, it's about the characters living and acting though as the setting is real. Without this, even the most creative concepts fall flat. With this comes my next issue with modern isekai, which is respecting humanity. You see, I feel there's a lot of isekai that face a significant issue in how it portrays its characters, particularly the lack of humanity and relatability. Many characters, especially protagonists, are written so generically that they feel inhuman, mere vessels for power fantasies rather than fully realized individuals. They also lack meaningful flaws, depth, and emotional range, making it really difficult for viewers to actually connect with them. Likewise, supporting characters are often one-note archetypes like the ditzy heroine, the tsundere rival, or the token lolly. They seem to orbit the protagonist without contributing much to the story, existing only to serve for boring subplots and provide fan service. Even their relationships with the main character feel shallow, built on admiration or dependence rather than shared experiences or conflict. Ultimately, respecting humanity means writing characters who feel real, with struggles and weaknesses that resonate with the viewer. And my final issue with modern isekai is respecting the story. Respecting the story means staying true to the initial themes and conflicts while ensuring that the narrative evolves, and most isekais kind of fail to do that. Modern isekai often falters when it comes to storytelling, leaving narratives that feel bland, disconnected, and ultimately unfulfilling for the audiences. Many isekais start with intriguing premises, and instead of capitalizing on the initial allure, the story frequently strays away from its core appeal. Now, how can modern isekai take strides towards being better? Well, I came up with 8 points, so... Number 1. Exploring unique worlds and lore. To start, one of the biggest issues is the lack of creativity in the worlds that these stories inhabit. It's always the same medieval European-inspired setting with generic monsters like goblins, dragons, and slimes. Instead, why not draw inspiration from underused mythologies or fantasy concepts? Like, imagine an isekai rooted in Egyptian, Polynesian, or Slavic folklore. Or one where the world has its own unique ecosystem, politics, and magical complexes. You see, original world building can breathe life into a stale setting. Number 2. Prioritizing the story and character development. Storylines should be compelling with themes that resonate beyond power fantasies. A side of romance is fine, but often harems cheapen the emotional stakes of the series. Like, real relationships where characters bond and grow over time are just more satisfying. Additionally, side characters should be more than just decorations. Each one of them should have their own motivations, arcs, and roles within the story. For instance, instead of the ditzy love interest tagging along, she can be a tactician whose decisions directly impact the plot. Number 3. Add consequences and stakes. Actions in isekai often feel weightless. Characters can just revive allies, fix mistakes, or overpower enemies without much consequence. Introducing stakes like death is final, relationships are fragile, and making mistakes have lasting repercussions makes victories hard-earned and losses more impactful. Number 4. Embracing subgenre hybrids. Isekai doesn't just have to be fantasy adventure. Mix it with genres like psychological thriller, noir, or even slice of life. For example, an isekai detective story where the MC solves supernatural mysteries, or a survival-themed isekai where teamwork and resourcefulness are key to survival. Number 5. Say no to overpowered main characters. In my opinion, the overpowered protagonist trope kills tension. Like, watching someone brave through challenges without any effort is boring. MCs should face real struggles, whether that be physically, emotionally, or morally, that push their growth. Whether it's learning magic from scratch, struggling to integrate into foreign culture, or grappling with personal flaws, a vulnerable MC adds stakes and relatability. For example, a character could start with a minor figure and climb their way up through strategy and alliances rather than just brute strength. Number 6. Limit the self-insert fantasy. While wish fulfillment is a key appeal of isekai, leaning too heavily on the self-insert fantasy diminishes the storytelling. Like, not every protagonist needs to be your ordinary gamer who's turned into a hero. Instead, focus on characters with depth, flaws, and unique perspectives. Number 7. No more Demon Kings, for God's sake. It feels like the Demon King trope has been beaten to death. Instead of defaulting to the evil overlord as the antagonist, explore complex, morally gray conflicts. Maybe the enemy is a rival kingdom, a natural disaster, or even the protagonist's own actions. A nuanced antagonist with believable motivations is far more engaging than another big bad. And finally, number 8. Tone down the fan service. Fan service has its place, but it should never overshadow the storytelling. Instead of excessive harem antics or constant focus on cleavage, subtle and well-timed moments can maintain a balance. Like, let fan service enhance and not distract from the narrative. A compelling romance subplot can engage viewers more than the endless parade of one-dimensional love interests. With that all said and done, in my opinion, modern isekai can still rise above its current state by embracing innovation, complexity, and respect for storytelling. By creating unique worlds, relatable protagonists, and meaningful conflicts, the genre can recapture the magic and deliver unforgettable experiences. Now we can just hope that the next wave of isekai authors takes these ideals to heart. And that's where my ideas run dry, and I ask you, what are your thoughts on fixing modern isekai? If you have any other ideas, drop them in the comments and we can discuss them. And if you liked the video, please like and subscribe, and make sure to turn on the notification bell so you get notified every time I make one of these anime rants. And also, man,
It's because these videos take so long to make. Please help me out.
anyways, my name is Safukos, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.